So I've decided to make this video because I felt it's important to share my story in some ways, or my experience, and because I feel like there is more people than me maybe have experienced similar thing. So I have an education, very hard education in a classical dance for, I would say I was trained for 10 years, maybe even longer, maybe 11 years of my life. I spent training for this one thing, to become a dancer. And it was very hard. It was a life of, let's say, a nun, because when someone wants to get to that level, I gave up everything else. Dance was my life. I was in the studio from morning to evening, 6 days a week. And after that extensive education and really going into that, of course, then I went to the dance companies and I was performing around the world, and I became one of the best dancers. And I'm so grateful for my career, for this experience. It feels like another life now, but it was incredible. And yet, for whatever reason, I had to leave that environment. It's a journey that it didn't happen from day to day. There was stages, but let's say I could have still been actively performing and actively in this show business, artistic world that is run in the very stereotypical way, and I decided not to, and it was a hard decision because of all the energy and all the education that I put into this. And then of course it's also being on stage and having hundreds of people applauding to you. There is something that becomes almost addictive, this adrenaline, and always being in this world of performance. There is it's beautiful, but it's also a little bit an escape from other realities. And I think what the problem for me was, as I went through this education, and I was always a rebel. I was never I could never fit in. For some reason, I was always the girl who was just not fitting in. And I was always questioning things, rebelling against the rules, breaking the rules, asking if we can do it differently. When I was in the dance company at the Grand Ballet Canadien, I already wanted to be a choreographer. I was super young. I was maybe 24, and I produced my first show by myself because I didn't want to wait to get a grant, and I didn't want to go through the steps there's this structure. It's really it's a system, as any other system that we have created. And because of who I am and my soul, that I think one of my most important values in my life is a freedom, as for many of us. But for me, since I'm a little girl, I grew up in Czech Republic. I left my family when I was 14. I started to travel alone throughout the world. I was living in different environments with different people and different families. And one thing that became essential on my path is embodying freedom, becoming free, becoming me more and more, knowing who I am and being that. And slowly I realized that these old systems, whether that is in the performing world of arts, that can be theater, that can be like a drama, it can be music, it can be dance, it can be visual art. There is these systems that are still running, and even though there is of course a lot of like avant-garde artists, but still, if you want to make living with that, often the times you have to follow and jump through certain loops, and I just couldn't do it anymore. And it took me a long time, and it was really the COVID time where I decided that I just don't want to play this game anymore. And I also felt that because I'm a great artist and I have things to express, but I always had to fit into and cut down some stuff, and I couldn't really be doing this style because now it's not popular, and this is too much of that, and this is too much of that, and so I try not to follow. So I became a freelancer and I was doing it my way, and it starts to pay off in some ways, but still I had to compromise a lot of the time. I had to compromise a lot. And living in the city, there is a lifestyle we have to live. You have to pay the rent, and things are getting more expensive, and we're hooked in the system, and the money is, for me, is really, I would say the money is in some ways the devil here, that starts to, because also getting grants and all that, it's like it's a political stuff, it's a political thing that we need to play the game. You have to play the game. And so back to me now, like, and so I step out of it, I step out of that world, and then realize that I miss it. I miss to be on stage. I miss to create shows. I miss to work with amazing, high quality, trained artists. But at the same time, I gain freedom. I feel, right now in my life, I feel more free than I've ever felt. I'm my own boss. I create my own time, my own week. I decide when to do what. I am meeting artists in this new way that are incredible. And so that's where I'm trying to get to, is that I feel that there's more and more of us who are creating, or who wants to create something new. And that's also like a new world, a new system. Not a system, I would say almost like going back into like harmony with nature, going back into living with the land, living in a community, supporting each other, taking away this competition. You know, I think that's the most draining one. That was always a thing. It's this competition, comparing yourself with others and trying to be better than other. And there is this competition that is so ingrained in our education system and in the dance world. It's huge, because we're constantly being compared to another person who has a completely different body, who has a completely different way of expression, and being told that we are not good, that we should look like that person. And then, as we are being told that in the schools and in the companies, or then it kind of becomes this, you know, we start to treat ourselves that way, and it's not supportive. It's not like we are co-creating. It's like stepping on top of each other almost, even though there is collaboration, but still, I would say it just is not. It's not the way that. That's where I'm now aiming towards, is how can I co-create with other people outside of the system. And I have more and more people reaching out to me and being like, wow, how do you live, like how you living? Like, they just don't get it. They're like, wow, how did you come to this life that you're living, and what are you doing for a living, and do you miss the dance and the like, you're an incredible artist, like why you're not back on doing shows, and so sometimes I have these moments of like, oh wow, okay, and I see how far I went, and the journey that I went on with, that helped me through like healing myself, through liberating myself, through starting to using my voice, and doing so many spiritual practices and somatics, and really working on myself, how I see this split reality now, and there's like this old world and old way of doing things, and now there's more and more souls who are calling in this new world, and that's also within the artists, And I meet incredible artists now in places where I'm like a small village in north of Thailand. Like, and they're incredible. They're high class, let's say, musicians or circus artists, and they have the same like me. They have like, I got burned out. I don't want to be. It didn't feel free. I went into a hole and depression, and in the end, I was just kind of like on this crazy train that was going really fast, and my life was just like going by, and it felt, you know. So I think I'm not the only one, and I think if you're watching this video, you probably understand and feel what I'm trying to say here. And so this is my, let's say, this is my personal message, just sharing my experience, being vulnerable, how now I see how much it paid off to go out. And there was moments when I was doubting. There were moments when I felt like, oh, I failed. I failed as an artist. I failed as a person, because that's what I meant to do. That's what I was trained for so many years. I put so many hours into this, so much energy, and now I just let it go like this. And that's all programs. That's running in my head, but has nothing to do with who I am and what I feel. And it's so beautiful and liberating to start realizing that more and more I'm empowered in living my truth, which is, how can I be me 100% all the time and free? And so if anything, I want to encourage you, if you're in your past, and it has to do something with this calling from the heart, because if we really tune into the heart and start to live from here and start to follow the joy and follow this inner calling, these programs that are in the headspace, they will start slowly to go further and further, and they will not be as strong as anymore, until maybe one day, if you really work on it, they will completely disappear. And I believe that we can together build a new world, even for the arts, for a new ways how to perform on streets, how to bring the audience, into the experience that is, in some ways, it's way more rewarding to perform in a park or on the street and have this like real public that really wants to watch it and really wants to enjoy, and then people who pay some kind of high ticket price to go see an opera, and often the times it's kind of just a statement of like, oh, I'm cool, I go to opera. But they don't really enjoy it or anything. And so as I'm speaking to you, I am empowering all of you artists out there, and all of us, we have an inner artist. That's another thing. It's like we've been told that that dancer is somebody who has to be trained so many hours, and singer, only singers can really sing and they have to spend hours. It's not true. We all have an inner artist. But we also, of course, all have a different gifts and different ways of expressing ourselves. Maybe whether it's like through hands, through writing, through different mediums. And I would say it's interesting because that can also change throughout your life. It can go through you being a dancer, and then 10 years later you will become a writer. And that's also where there's a lot, often the times, a trap, where our society makes us believe that because we study something for so long, we have to now be that for the whole life. And that's not true. The calling can change. We can also live multiple lives within one life. I feel like I've lived until now like 3 lives. And I'm only 35, and I feel so old because there is like, I was that, and then I was that, and then I was that, and now I'm this. And it's beautiful if we can still re-question every time, almost every day I re-question. It's like, is it really, what am I doing? Is it really that I am, that is the deep calling of my soul? Is it still aligned with who I am? Because I'm changing every day. I'm not the same person as I was 2 days ago. And that's, I think, the last thing I want to share with you. Thank you so much for watching. If you've liked this video, please drop me a comment, and also share with me your experience, where you are. If I'm so fascinated by all of our stories. Everybody's so unique. Everybody has such a unique path and offering and gifts and light. And I love to get inspired by other souls. So don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you enjoy, and I'm sending you blessings.